Hey, what's up, everybody? Sak passe. How's everybody doing? My name is Chef Claudy. I'm here in Pittsburgh, PA, by ways of Brooklyn, New York City, and also living in Jersey. I am of Haitian descent, and in the Haitian community, our coat of arms on our flag has something that says "L'union fait la force." L'union fait la force. That means, um, you know, coming together makes strength. Unity makes strength and creates strength. And I think during this pandemic, we were able to see how intricate and how important food is, and how, as crazy as it seems, there is a unity that had to happen. It was very essential for us to come together, especially around food, because it's an essential. It's a necessity that we all have to actually get food into our systems to make better decisions, to actually cope. You're in the house, you're probably eating too much, you're probably doing a whole bunch of things. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the EAT initiative, EAT initiative, which was created in 2015. EAT is Empowerment, Awareness, and Training. Empowerment, Awareness, and Training Initiative. It was basically birthed, as you guys know, I'm a chef, and we were able to start a lot of different initiatives with other people. But then one of the strongest women I know, Lucienne Marie de Sources, who is my grandmother, actually, even though she cooked almost every day of her life and cooked some hearty meals, we ended up having to get her leg amputated because of diabetes. So what we did is we took that as a reason to say, you know what, we're going to train people how to eat healthy and make sure that we are able to create a healthier, nutritious, and delicious meal, and we don't have these issues in the future. So that's something to think about, how especially eating every day doesn't necessarily mean you're eating healthy. So the EAT initiative ended up transforming throughout the years. We've been doing a lot of cooking demonstrations, and we believe that eating healthy is a right. Having access to fresh produce is just as important as having access to water. So think about that. Like, we all have access to water, and that's a right. But a human right should be having fresh produce, fruits and vegetables as well. We now have formed, and we do ServSafe training certification. We teach about enterprising, and one of our biggest things that we tout is our knife skills to life skills. So we've been doing virtual and in-person cooking demonstrations and tutorials at local community organizations. So we've worked closely with the YMCA. We've worked closely with Carnegie Library. We've worked closely with other organizations like Haitian American Caucus, like the American Heart Association, to provide fresh and healthy tutorials and meals and demonstrations to show people how to cook and how to eat. The craziest part about it is that we all have to eat, no matter the color, black, white, whatever the case may be. We all have to eat, and we all tend to have a lot of similar ingredients in our food, just cooked with different techniques. One of the biggest things that we found during the pandemic is that as soon as it hit around the week of St. Patty's Day, which is a huge thing in Pittsburgh, huge cultural thing, and everyone got shut down. So what we did is we automatically switched over, and we said, how are the senior citizens going to eat? How are some of our youth going to eat? Because they only eat at school, and now school is shut down. Now there's a lot of different things that's going to happen where we're not going to be able to actually get our seniors and some of these youth that are going to be voiceless in this situation. So we created something we call the third meal. We know, I sit on a couple of different task force with Pittsburgh Public Schools and the Food Policy Council. So we already started brainstorming what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And so we said, we know the schools are going to do lunches from 11 to 1. So our third meal process actually is a meal that is hot and ready for you, but we serve it from 3 to 7. And during the pandemic, we were able to take our revenue model, which is a cafe, and transform the cafe into a hub where we can receive donations and recreate soup, salad, sandwiches, hot meals to give back to the community with the existing inventory, and really be the connective tissue to meet people where they are in our communities, because that's a big one. So we work closely with the food bank, we work closely with 412 Food Rescue, and a variety of other organizations to really just connect the resources with the actual community. So like we spoke about a couple of, like Kevin said, and also Lakeisha said, there's a lot of philanthropic resources around, a lot of corporate structure in Pittsburgh, PA. But what we're doing now, we are that connective tissue that actually gets those resources and into the hands of the people. For instance, when the food bank has big food drives and they say, hey, pull up with your car, to get boxes of food donations, a lot of our community don't have the access to drive. They don't have the access to get there because of school trainings and virtual school and Zoom meetings. So what we did is we found a way to actually get the donations into their hands. And we found that the third meal program was an exceptional way of doing it. And we've basically have a strategy that allows the people to really benefit from it. And that's where that unity makes strength. We found ourselves being stronger. The biggest thing that we did is we started to change the language. We changed the narrative around how we speaking about our community. We're not just going to simply call it at risk. We're not going to keep saying, these at-risk kids and, completely vulnerable neighborhoods, which may be true at some points, but changing the narrative and having asset framing and asset language, which I learned from my BME conferences, that we speak about our community in with light and love and positivity. So doing that also creates us to start to create resources and funnel the resources, because we're saying this is an asset. Our communities are our rural and our inner city communities that have a lot of these senior citizens and a large population of Black and brown children. These are assets that if we build them up and make sure that they're getting the meals, the nutritious and delicious meals that they have, we found through the EAT initiative that we now have a hub of people who are doing great things, not just talking about the neighborhoods as in, oh man, they're blighted and, they're never going to amount to anything. So we take really a lot of pride in speaking about our neighborhood with pride and speaking about it as an asset versus a liability. The other thing I was going to say is collaboration. We found that the EAT initiative doesn't work by itself. It doesn't work with your chef, Claudy. We have donations, monetary, as well as in kind, and just from all over, coming from New York, Jersey, Miami, and especially our hyper-local economy, from farms to local community partners. And we found that collaboration is the way to do it. And that's that unity I'm talking about again. That unity is so intricate and it's so purposeful. The other thing is making sure that through those collaborations, we have access to capital. As an entrepreneur and a restaurateur, having a cafe and seeing the ups and downs and the downturn, like we heard some people say about revenue models, and making sure that we're able to access capital in this time of need to really still continue to build our businesses, teach enterprise, working with the banks, whether it's PPP, whether it's different loan models or grant models, to really understand how to still generate revenue or help, whether it's the arts, helping the artists get money, helping Black women and children also still see the benefits of the things that are going on around us in this very crucial time. And having a good meal and having to be able to pay staff to cook and package and distribute and drive and volunteer and get some sort of a stipend has been a very big part of our model. We don't want to just say, hey, we need to beg and completely just lose ourselves asking and begging. We're saying, hey, no, we have the skill set. We also have the ability to, the talent, the skill set, and now we have the know-how and the knowledge, along with the collaborations, to actually get access to capital. And we have the community engagement, and then we're leveraging all of our relationships to really make this EAT initiative to empower, make people aware, and to train people how to do it. Our training models, like I said, the Nice Skills to Life, we went to almost a full virtual model where we're doing a plethora of cooking classes and demonstrations. We're sending out recipe cards, and we're teaching people how to use that onion and that tomato to really go into a new way of thinking about your food. And you can grow it. You can create very fun options by watching chefs like myself and a couple of other chef friends, and also interacting via social media. That's one of the big things that we've been fortunate to have. Food is one of the most, it is the number one image that people share and like. So using that, leveraging the fact that we know everyone wants to share what they made. Sometimes some look better than others, no shots fired there, but we like to encourage people to cook and to show us what you're eating and to tweak it. Hey, use less butter, using salt, using lemon juice, using less salt, using less sugar. How do we use, honeys and things of that nature to really get you to not binge eat when you're stuck in the house with those kiddos after studying and doing virtual classes. So that's a little bit about the EAT initiative. So I really wanted to just give you a little brief overview of what we've been doing over here and how we've been impacting the community at large, but also having a direct hit to the heart individually with people. And you don't even understand how having a hot meal, even people that have some resources, how having that prepared meal changes the game when it comes to a parent that's been working all day, or a student that's been working all day and needs that hot meal to just really carry them over into the rest of their day or the rest of their week, and making decisions. And also making sure that we understand that it should be a human right for everyone to have fresh produce, just like water, everyone to have fresh produce. And that's a little overview about the EAT initiative. And Habib, if you want, I'm open to questions. And if there's anything as well as you would like to talk about, I would like to shout out my team, the EAT initiative staff and team, and also all of our supporters. One of them is my church, Pray, Hustle, Repeat, Macedonia Church. Thank you so much for just being a pillar in the community as well as the Energy Innovation Center, which is where our kitchen is.
Absolutely, Chef. Thanks for all the great work you do, and we appreciate the shots you fired, because I received it, and I'm sure all I mean, we have a lot of questions coming up, but the first question, I want to go down to the last point you made about just your relationship with food. And we have you here as a chef. So what are some of the tangible guidance you can provide, knowing that people during this time of stress, anxiety, trauma, may turn to food for solace, may turn to food as an escape route, may turn to food for comfort? Like, how do we still stay true to the things that can build us as change makers to proceed and do this hard work that we do in understanding food? Can you talk to that?
Yes, for sure. And thanks for bringing that up, man. Honestly, the biggest thing that I found is don't beat yourself up, and repetition. So one of the things is we tend to binge eat, whether we're happy, sad, whatever it is. Food is usually associated with emotions. So really forgive yourself and allow yourself to kind of track what you've been eating, also what you're purchasing when you're going into the grocery store. Really make a food list of what you want, because if you don't have a list, that's when you're more susceptible to just grabbing anything and snacks and things of that nature. Sticking to a list, that's one. Two, forgiving yourself and say, hey, all right, I did eat all that chocolate cake yesterday. I'm gonna try to be a little bit better today. I'm gonna substitute that sweet tooth that I have with some fruit. Mangoes are hot right now. A lot of fruits and a lot of things that your palate will you can trick your palate into tasting sweet things instead of doing the cakes and the cakes and the different pastries. You definitely want to incorporate some fruits, vegetables. All vegetables should have their identity. And I definitely, shameless plug, definitely check out eatinitiative.org. You're going to see some of the recipes that we're going to be doing. It's going to be a beautiful thing. But really there's so much content online. Instead of scrolling up and down on Instagram and Facebook, look at some of your local chefs, little celebrity chefs like Darius Cooks, Chef Claudy, Pierre, myself, Chef Jeff, Chef Nadej. Like, these are celebrity chefs that are doing multiple different recipes and having fun with it. You'll see us in the kitchen dancing. The last thing I want to say is right now we're in quarantine. One of the biggest things that I found is that we have, fortunately, despite people being sick and hurt, we are with family more hours than we've ever been. Incorporate the family into your meal. Okay, you got to chop the onions. You're going to cry a little bit, but you got to chop. You go ahead and chop the broccoli. You go ahead and you start marinating the chicken, and come together and put the tablet down and come together and follow a recipe. Print it out if you have access to a printer. Maybe put it up on one laptop and incorporate everybody into the family into the dinner, and see how much more. Like back in the day, we grew food. Like, I have a windowsill that's full of basil and and all types of different fresh herbs. Incorporate the family into your meal instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna heat this up and everybody come grab it whenever you want. Block off 30 minutes to an hour and incorporate the family. I think you'll see a significant change, whether you're cracking jokes on one another and saying, nah, don't eat that, you need to eat this, or whether you're just really talking to each other about the community and togetherness, and you find a little bit more about your daughter or your significant other. I guarantee you that.
Totally appreciate it, Chef. So what does that look like in communities that are building up on the point that was made in the earlier conversation with David around food deserts? So what can they do with the limited resources that they have, and how can they make the best meals in that situation?
So a couple of things that come to mind is tech is your friend. Right now, we're using tech for a lot of social and leisure, but we need to start using it as a form to get to our food. One of the things that the EAT Initiative is proud to say is we help you procure food. We help you even find different bus routes and ways that you can get to the food, whether it's an urban garden farm or whether it's an opportunity for you to go to a food bank or a distribution pantry to actually access some food. The key is this: there is a lot of fresh produce around us, and it doesn't necessarily have to be more expensive. The real thing is the time is expensive, where you have to plan things out, write things down, get the recipe card together, and then say, hey, I want to be intentional. I guarantee you, if I did a survey right now, the people on this call, how many onions and how many peppers you threw away from getting slimy and moldy, because when you get it, you don't use it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of times we do have access to certain fruits and vegetables, and because we're not carving out the time to utilize the resources that we have, we are not using it. And if you don't use it, you lose it. You know, so I think that's one of the things. And lastly, a lot of the food deserts, believe it or not, we are now at a point where many people are opening their eyes to know where the food deserts are and finding resources, low-hanging fruit, pun intended, that community organizations, churches that are doing pantries and things of that nature to help you. It doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg. So I urge you, and that's the call to action in itself, to find out which community organization near you. And if not, I'm going to put my information up. I will help you find it in whatever area you are in, especially in the Pittsburgh area, because we have quite a few resources that's available to people.
Thanks, Chef Claudy. We have a question from Carmen, which is, what do you think is the biggest factor that has enabled you to respond during this pandemic?
The biggest factor is, honestly, access to resources, access to capital, but not just accessing it, really making sure that it trickles down to the people that need it and meeting people where they are. Transportation has been a big, there's been a lot of stoppage in transportation. There's a lot of seniors, there's a lot of youth, and everyone's on quarantine. So one of the biggest factors that I feel and the biggest things that we can do is identifying resources and making sure that they get down to some of those smaller, hyper-local organizations. So a lot of times you'll get the bigger nonprofits that get the lump sum of money, that get the bigger lump sums of resources, whether it's masks, whether it's gloves, whether it's just opportunity, and making sure that they team up and collaborate. Like I said, l'union fait la force. Unity creates strength, makes strength. It doesn't help that certain organizations know how to get resources, and then the smaller ones that actually have access to the people don't. So really connecting those with the people at their homes, the people that can't drive up to the food bank, making sure whatever you do, we get the food into their hands, we get the capital and the resources into their hands, the technology into their hands. And that's one of the things where we're creating avenues so people can be that connective tissue to really get the money and the resources to the people where they are, and then enlightening them when we do that.
Thanks, Chef. I got a last question for you, and appreciate all your insights. So, building on your Union fait la force, how are you taking precautions around knowing that so many of the states that we currently are, there's the reopening happening, and people are eager to go out and eat and eager to build back those relationships we had previously before the pandemic hit. What are some of the things that both the chefs and both people on this call need to keep in mind when that rush happens? And how are you doing that with the EAT Initiative?
So there's a lot of layers to that onion right there, my friend. And it's hard because from from a side of an entrepreneur restaurateur, we're like, man, we need to generate income and revenue and get people back working. On the other side, we're like, we have to take every safety precautions. So first and foremost, we already know there's COVID guidelines, and Pennsylvania happens to be in the yellow phase. So we're adhering to every single COVID guideline and just going a little harder, man, slowing down and really just taking heed to every single cleanliness and hygienic guideline that we have. So like I said, we are ServSafe certifying people as part of our education. We're using, and even ServSafe has put out additional guidelines for cleanliness, for cleaning. We also have been fortunate to work with local partners to give people masks. We've given out about 1,500 masks with meals thus far. We also are, like I said, encouraging people to look at the virtual sites to cook meals and identify how to, when we give them produce, how to make the produce. But yes, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people that wanna run out and wanna go to eat. I definitely recommend you looking at the restaurant that you're going to and seeing if they're adhering to the COVID guidelines. Definitely see how the staff is treating cleanliness, and also making sure that you don't just go out and try to spend money. Consider catering. Consider supporting different restaurants by ordering takeout, curbside, considering drop-off catering versus going and sitting and dining in. Consider everyone infected. I hate to say it like that. Consider you a carrier that don't know you're a carrier. So therefore, putting on your mask, using gloves properly, and then not discarding them, just throwing it in the street. You know what I mean? Really taking heed to all the COVID guidelines that we have. There's a lot of info out there. Don't think that you're an expert. Just consider everyone affected and carry on as such. Hey, you know what? I love you and I trust you. You're my grandma, but when I come over here, I need to have my mask and my gloves on out of respect for you and myself. You're my child, but we're going into this shopping store. I need you to cover your mouth and you know, really utilizing all these, and definitely support your local businesses, but support it with a contactless lens, so to speak, with curbside, with takeout, with catering options as well.
Thank you so much, Chef Claudy, for joining us. We'll be looking forward to hearing about all the great work you're doing in Pittsburgh. I appreciate you, brother. Keep pushing.
Thank you.
Thank everyone else for joining.